My screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Okay. Now see, the chapter is named Fundamental Unit of Life. Okay. So first we have to understand what is the meaning of fundament, right? Like why
Yes.
are we calling this chapter as the fundamental? Now, can anybody tell me what is the meaning of fundamental?
Important.
Yes, it means important. It also means
Basic.
basic. Yes, basic, right to the basic. And it also means important. So this particular chapter tells us that what is the most basic or what is the most important unit of life. Now, what is it? So the basic or the fundamental unit of life is cell. Okay, so this whole chapter is about cell. So what is cell? We can write cell as it is. You can also write it down in your notebooks. Okay, it is the structural and functional unit of life. Now, what do we mean by structural and functional? Now, the word structural here means it forms the basic structure of all the living organs. Okay? Structural meaning it forms the basic structure, and functional that it performs all sorts of functions of an organism. Any function that an organism needs to survive or to live is performed by the cell. So take any organism in the world, be it humans, be it animals, be it plants, or even microorganisms. All of these are made up of cell. Okay, so the basic thing, like if you ask me, what do we require to stay alive? Or what do we think is needed to become a whole organism? It is cell, right? So cell is extremely important for the formation of organisms. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now moving forward. Now cell, okay, we understood that cell is the basic or the fundamental unit of life. Now, how do we get to know about cell? Who taught us about cell? Where did it came from? So there was a scientist, his name was Robert Hooke. Okay, what was the scientist's name? His name was Robert Hooke, and in the year 1665, he discovered cell. Okay, he discovered cell. Now, a question would be asked, who was the first person to discover the cell and in which year he did that? So your answer would be Robert Hooke was the first person and he discovered the cell in the year 1665. Okay. Now, what he did in his discovery, do you know what a cork is?
Yes.
What is a cork?
It's a bark of the tree. It's a part of the bark of
Yes,
tree.
correct. So a cork. Now what he did, he studied the cork of a tree. He studied the cork, okay? And this cork came from the bark of the tree. It came from the bark of the tree. Bark of the tree. So what he did, he took that cork, the piece, he studied it under a microscope that was available at that time, in 1665, long back ago. So what he observed, that the piece of the cork that he was studying had a structure, had a repetitive structure, and it looked like honeycomb. Do you know what a honeycomb looks like?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So it looked like a honeycomb. Wait, I'll show you. Is this visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a picture visible to you?
No, ma'am, not a picture.
Okay, wait. Just a second. I'll show you a picture also, so that it'll be easy for you to remember. Yeah. Okay, is this visible to you now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, do you see these? Do you see these structures here? Hexagonal type of structures are present. Now, this is what a honeycomb structure looks like, right? The normal honeycomb that is made by the bees looks like this. So when he observed that cork piece, the particular compartments were exactly like this. So he said that when I magnified the particular piece of cork, it looked like this to me. And he called, do you see where the cursor is? Now,
Yes, ma'am.
yes. So these things were known as, he called them compartments. Okay. Now he said there are several compartments in that piece of cork, and he named those compartments as cell. So he said that each compartment that I am seeing in that piece of cork, I will name it as cell, and this is how he discovered cell. Okay, he was the first person ever to tell that, okay, cell is this thing which I'm seeing here. Okay. All right, now coming back to my screen. Yes. So he was the first person who discovered the cell, right? He told, okay, these are the compartments which are present in the core, and I will name them cell. Okay. Now, after that, there was another person. Now, since he brought up the study, there were many scientists who began their different studies, about the cell. Like, we will observe different kinds of cell. Is it different in all organisms, or is it just exactly like how it was of a cork? Now, there is also an experiment given in your NCRT. It says that when you take an onion peel, okay, when you peel it and when you view it under the microscope, you would see several compartments like this. Okay, several compartments that look like this. And it is like present all over the onion cell. For example, this is the cell that you're examining. Okay, this is the cell. The onion peel. Okay, let's call it onion peel. So this is the onion peel that you're examining. And these, like, it is present all over the peel. Like, if you have taken this small part also and viewed it under the microscope, that particular small part is filled with cells like this. Okay, it is all over, and they are all of same size and the same shape. So each of these things are known as cells. Okay, so we saw in cork also, and now we are seeing in onion also. So here we saw that, okay, there is a regular pattern that is repeating in different cells. Like for cork, it was different, but inside the cork, all the compartments were same. Again, for onion, it was different than cork, but all of the compartments were same. Understood? So
Yes, ma'am.
even if you take this much of an onion peel, or you take this big of an onion peel, these regularities or the shape of the structure will remain same for both of these. It does not matter if you have taken a bigger size or you have taken a smaller size. Okay? Clear? All right. Yes. Now, you write down one question. The question is, do you agree? Write it down. Do you agree? The question is, do you agree that cell is the basic unit of life? Is the basic unit of life? If yes, explain. Okay, this is one question. Okay. Will you be able to answer this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, both of you will be able to answer this question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Rima, you will also be able to answer this question too, right?
No.
No, you have difficulty. If you look, if both of you have any difficulty, okay, if what I'm teaching you, you're not getting it or you're finding it difficult, quickly stop me and you can say, excuse me, ma'am, I'm not able to understand. Okay, I will explain you n number of times. No matter how many times you want me to explain it, I will explain it to you. Okay, so Rima, tell me what problem? What is your problem here? Say.
I can't understand the answer for this question.
Okay. Now, first of all, tell me, do you agree that cell is the basic unit of life?
Yes, I will agree.
Yes, you agree. Okay. Now, the question is saying, if you agree that the cell is the basic unit of life, explain how. Okay. So, while explaining, you will say, since cell performs the structural and functional unit of every individual. That is the reason why it is the basic unit of life. It is fundamental and it is present in all the organisms. Clear?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
The answer to this question, it does not have to be very long. It can be in few lines also. It just says that, do you agree? Yes, I agree. Now, why? Because a cell performs the structural function, right? It is structural also, it is functional also, and combining it, it is fundamental. What it is? It is fundamental. Now, what is the meaning of fundamental? Tell me, Rima.
Basic and important.
Yes, basic plus important. Clear? Is it clear to you now?
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay. Now, further on, if you have any questions, you can ask me, okay? You don't have to be shy. It's all right. You're learning here, okay? You can
And
ask
what marks will
anything.
this question come for?
It may come for 2 marks question. Sometimes one word also, right? Or, one sentence also. It may come for 1 mark, 2 marks. That is it. Not for 5 marks. Never, okay? Now, moving on. Okay, so on the basis of cell, okay, on the basis of number of cells, on the basis of number of cells, okay, organisms can be divided into two. Okay, organisms can be divided into two types. Okay, one is unicellular and the other one is multicellular. Multicellular. You should write it down. Okay, whatever I'm writing, note it down.
Okay.
Okay, so on the basis of the number of cells, the organisms can be divided into two types. The first one is unicellular and the next one is multicellular. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. Now, when we talk about any word in biology, okay, sometimes the words in biology are very big and sometimes they are very lengthy. So in order to understand the word, we break it to understand. Okay, so that it will become easy for us. So here, if we see uni and then there is cellular. Okay, so uni means one or it means single. Okay, one is single, right? One. So uni means one and cellular means containing cells, right? Made up of cells. So all those organisms that have only one cell in their body, only single cell in their body, those organisms are known as unicellular. Okay. Same way, when
Yes,
we
ma'am.
break the words here, we break it into two parts. one is multi, and then one is cellular. So what do we understand by multi? What is multi?
Multiple or
Yes,
many.
multiple, many, more than one, right? Anything that is more than one. So more than one is multi, and then cellular is again made of cells. Made up of cells. So we understood that on the basis of the number of cells, organisms, all the living organisms, okay, every organism are two types. The first one is unicellular and the next one is multicellular. Unicellular, what are they?
Single celled.
Single cell, made up of single cell. Okay, Rima, tell me, what are multicellular organisms?
More than one.
Yes, the organisms that contain more than one type of cells. Okay, so those are multicellular organisms. Now let us see some examples. Now, have you heard about bacteria?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Bacteria, yes. So bacteria are unicellular organisms. Okay, and have you heard about a man? Do you know man?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know cow?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And have you seen a dog?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
All of these are multicellular. Why? Because they contain many cells. Okay. Now,
Okay.
moving on. Now, okay, I would also like to tell you one thing that when Robert Hooke discovered the cell, he took cork, right? Now, cork are dead cells. They are cells, but they are dead cells. So basically, he discovered the first dead cell only. But
Yeah.
now, of course, we have to discover the living cell, right? Because so many organisms are living. So then again, another scientist. Now, his name was, write it down, Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Leeuwenhoek. So this person, Anton von Leeuwenhoek, in the year 1674. What was the year that Robert Hooke did his discovery in?
1665.
1665. Now, this person discovered in 1674. Okay. Now, see, remembering the years is also important. The year of discovery is also important because if you just write the name of the scientist, you will get marks. But if you write the year also, you will get another marks for it, right? So it makes the question, the answer looks beautiful also. Okay. So this person, Anton von Leeuwenhoek, he discovered the first living cell. Okay. He discovered living cell or the first living cell. What did he discover?
The first living cell.
Yes, the first living cell. All right. Now, let's talk about cell theory. Okay. Now, we know
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Like in what did he discover the living cell?
Okay, yeah, good question. Now, what he did, have you seen that the inside of your cheeks, there are some cells, whenever we get anxious, we tend to bite it, right? It comes off. So he discovered it from the lining of our cheek, the inner part. Okay, when he
He
observed,
discovered the cheek cell?
yes, the
Okay.
inner cheek cell. Okay. Okay, now we saw that the cells are the basic unit of life, right? We know that. Now, this is a fact that is like up in our mind. Okay. Now, we also saw that all the living organisms, if we divide it, like all the plants, all the animals, are they made up of cells?
Yes.
Yes, both of them are made up of cells. So now, then came cell theory. Okay, then came, sorry, like that. Then came cell theory. Now give the heading cell theory. Okay. Now, okay, wait, let me first describe you a different kind of cells also. Let's start with this. Now, remember, like there are small sizes of cats, right? And then there are huge sizes of cats. I'm taking cats as an example. So now, do you think that the size of the cell of the smaller cat would be equal to the larger cat?
No.
No.
No. Right. Why? Because that size is larger. It is different than this size, right? So same way, the cells, they mold their shapes and sizes according to the function. So write it down. The shape and sizes, or the shape and size of cells vary according to
Their
the
functions.
yes, the function that they perform. The functions that they perform. For example, we were talking about the bigger cat. So to run, the bigger cat might need more energy than the smaller cat, right? Since its weight is higher. So that way, in the bigger cat, the cells would have to perform double the amount as compared to the smaller one. That way, in all the organisms, the shape and the size of the cells, they vary. Not only two organisms. If we talk about one organism also, so different types of parts of our body require different functions, right? So different cells will perform different functions. Is that clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now let me show you the different shapes of the cells which are present in human body. Yeah, is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now see, all of these are the cells of the human body. Okay, so if we look at here, this is a nerve cell. Okay, is my cursor visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is a nerve cell. Okay, it is supposed to be the longest cell of our body, right? Now, there is also another cell that is this, a smooth muscle cell. Okay, it is a muscle cell. Now, do you see that the shape is so different from each other? The structure is so different from each other, but all of them are cells. Here, blood cells. Do you know red blood cells and white blood cells?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So the blood cells look like this. Then there is a bone cell. Now this is a sperm and this is an ovum. It is the egg produced in the female body and sperm is produced in the male body. Then this is a fat cell. Now do you see such a wide variety of cells, right? All
Yes,
of
ma'am.
them are different from each other, right? All of
Yeah.
them. But all of them are cells. So
Ma'am,
how?
is that a vacuole in the fat cell?
Yeah, this is a vacuole. Okay, now this,
Okay,
since
ma'am.
it is a fat cell, this part is containing the fat only. Okay, the fat is present. It is basically for, insulation in our body, protecting us from the cold, providing us heat. So it is for that. Okay, so all of the cells, they perform different functions, right? All of them have different functions, like ovum and sperm are for reproduction, nerve cells are for impulse conduction. Okay, smooth muscle is for different function. All of them have different function and different shapes. But what is one thing common in them?
They are cells.
Yes. Rima, did you understand this?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, what is the problem? Tell me.
Like, I can't understand the difference of anything.
Can you speak a little louder because I can't hear you?
I can't understand the difference between this.
Okay, you can't understand the difference between these. Okay. Okay. See, you understand blood?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in our blood, there are many cells present. Okay. So those cells that are present in our blood are known as blood cells. Okay. Here,
Yeah.
this one. Okay, they look like this. Clear? Now, in our nervous system, okay, there are cells that look like this. Those are known as nerve cells. Okay, so in this picture, all these we have shown different kinds of cell that are present in human body. Okay, like ovum, it is an egg. Okay, egg. It is present in females, only in females, not in males. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Then there is sperm. It is present only in males and not in females. Okay, so this picture shows different kind of cells. Okay, and basically what my main point is to make you understand that even though now, Rima, do you see that all of these look different?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, one is from blood, one is from bone, one is from muscle. So all of the origin are also different, right? One is muscle, one is bone, one is nerve. But what is common in them? That they all are cells. Okay, all of these are cells. Now see, I wrote there, I made you write that the shape and sizes vary according to the function. This is how I'm showing it. Like different cells have different functions. And because of that, all of these look different. Now, is it clear?
Ma'am, what is the function of the blood cell, the muscle, and the bone cell?
Okay, wait, I'll tell you now. See, the muscle cells, they help in contraction. Okay, now it is very, off your topic right now. It is quite complicated. But what is like any movement that you do, right? This movement or that movement.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
doing
a
this.
contraction
Yes.
between the muscles, like, and relaxation as well.
Yes, correct. So those functions are performed by, now here they have written smooth muscle cell. So all those actions that are involuntary, but not in our control, those are performed by smooth cells. Now, what does blood cells do? Blood cells, they carry oxygen and they fight diseases. So that is like very, very far off from your syllabus, but that is what they do. Okay, and bone cell is also for different functions like the formation of bone marrow, the formation, the formation of our bones. That is the function. Okay, so each of these cells have a different function. Each of these cells have a different shape. Now, this is why, because of the different, they perform different functions. Like I said, muscle cell is for, movement of our muscles. Nerve cell is for impulse conduction. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Rima, do you have any doubts now? Even if you do, you can ask. It's okay.
Yeah, I have a doubt. Why is like different in ovum and sperm?
What is the difference between them?
Yeah, why is it only in girls and men's?
Well, it is how we are made. Okay, some structures are present in us, like some structures are present and some structures are not. That is why. It is a fact.
Because of
There
the
is no
different reproductive organs in
Yes,
both the.
because male and female are different, and some cells in their body may also be different. So these two are the basic, the reproductive structures, the gametes. Okay, so since a male and a female, they together form a baby, right? So they have to have a different structure to form. So, but it is like it has no concern with your chapter. Okay, any doubts?
No.
Okay, now let's move on forward. Okay, so we were talking about the shapes and sizes. Now, is this point clear to you, this particular one?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this clear now?
Yeah.
No doubts now?
No.
Okay, good, very good. Now, let's talk about cell theory. Now we will talk about cell theory. Okay, now what does cell theory means? Okay, so I was saying that we began from the point wherein I said that cell is the basic unit of life, right? Then I said that all of the organisms are made up of cell. Okay, But this is not me saying it. It is a fact, right? And this fact has been formulated long back ago. That is why I know it, and that is why I'm able to teach you. And then you'll tell your friends also, then you can teach also. So this is a fact. It is a theory that was given. Okay, now two biologists. Now there must be some people who would give this theory, right? So two biologists, the names were Sklidin, and the other person was Swan. Okay. These two were the scientists. Rima, you should also note it down. Okay.
Okay.
Note it down. As I'm writing, you also write down so that you will understand it better. Okay. So write it down as I'm writing. So there were two biologists. The first one was Sklidin and the next one was Swan. So Sklidin in the year 1838 and Swan in the year 1839. Okay. Now, what these two scientists did, they gave 2 points. Okay. So they gave 2 points. Gave 2 points. Okay. What were those points? The first point was all plants and animals are made up of cells. Okay, this was the first point. Okay, tell me when you're done writing it.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, Rima, did you write it down?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the first point, and then they gave another point which says cell is the basic unit of life. The basic unit of life. Okay, so the two biologists, what were the names? The names were Sklidin and Swan.
Swan.
You have to write the years. Yes.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you have to write remember the years also. So two biologists, their names were Sklidin and Swan. They gave 2 points. Okay. They gave that all plants and animals are made up of cell. Okay. And cell is the basic unit of life. So they gave these
Yes.
2 points. Now, there came another scientist and his name was Rudolf Virchow.
Yeah.
Okay. And he, in the year 1855, gave the third point. Now, what did he give? He said that
Cells
all,
come from
yes,
pre-existing
pre-existing
cells.
cells. All cells comes from pre-existing cells. Pre-existing cells. Okay. Rima, did you wrote it down? Yes. So now see, point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. All of these 3 made the cell theory. This is what the cell theory states. Okay. This is what the cell theory. Now, the question what I would give here. Okay, write down the question. The question is, what is cell theory? And who proposed it? Okay, who proposed or who gave the cell theory? Gave. Now, will you be able to answer this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Rima, will you be able to answer this question? So, what is the cell theory?
Ma'am, it is like, do I have to state the points or do I have to tell what is the cell theory?
Either way, you'll be doing the same thing, right? The
Yes,
cell
ma'am.
theory, what does it states? That
The cell
upon,
theory states
yes,
that all plants and animals are made of cells.
yes,
Cells is the basic unit of life,
yes,
and all the cells come from pre-existing cells. It was
yes.
proposed by Skliden, Schwann, and Vir.
Rudolf Virchow.
Okay.
Yes, Virchow. Now you also must mention the years in the bracket also. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it clear now completely?
Ma'am.
Okay. Very good. Now, another question. Who discovered the cell? Who discovered the cell and in which year? Rima, can you answer this question? Are you there?
Yeah, Robert Hooke in 1965.
1965
Sorry,
is the
1665.
yes,
1665.
Yes, it was like long back ago. Okay, both of these questions are clear to you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, let's move on forward. Okay, now whenever, like we talked about the shape and size of the cell. Okay, now since we said that the cells of different shapes and size are that way because they perform a different functions, right? That is why now in the cell, there is a division of labor. Okay, now what do we mean by division of labor? It means that each component of the cell would perform a different function.
Yeah.
Okay, labor, you understand labor?
Yeah.
Yes, it means to
Workers.
work. Yes, workers or to work, right? So each of the components of the cell would have a division of labor. Okay, so they have divided their work. Okay, only one component would not be responsible for all of the work. Okay, they are like, okay, fine, you take this work, you take this work, I'll take this work. So there is a division of labor in the cell. Is that clear? Okay,
Yes,
now, like how would you explain what division of labor is? Okay, let us take an example of human body. Okay, human body. Now, when we talk about human body, do you know what is the function of our heart?
to pump blood across
Yes.
the whole body.
Yes. So heart, it pumps blood. It pumps blood. Now, do you know the function of your eyes?
To see.
Yes. Rima, you also answer. Do you know the
Okay.
function of your eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you know the function of your stomach?
Yeah. To digest.
What does your stomach do? Digestion. Very good. So here we see that, okay, heart, eyes, and stomach. All of these perform different functions in our same body, right? Even if it is mine or yours, your heart will pump blood. My heart will also pump blood, right? But my eyes won't pump blood for me. Or will they?
No.
No. Will my stomach speak for me?
No.
No, right? So every organ in my body has a different function and which will be performed by it only. Same way, when we are talking about the cells, in cells also there are certain functions performed by different types of cells or the parts of the cell. So let's talk about the components of the cell. Components of cell. What are the components? So basically there are three components of the cell. Okay, three components. The three components, the first one is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane. The second component is nucleus.
Nucleus.
Yes. And the third component is the
Cytoplasm.
cytoplasm, or it can also be known as protoplasm. Okay, so these
Fine.
are the three components of the cell. Now, why are they components? Because they are present inside the cell. Okay, so if you look at the cell has a cytoplasm, the cell has a nucleus, and the cell has a plasma membrane. Okay, now, all right. Now, before starting is, do you know that there are two types of organism, prokaryotic and eukaryotic?
Yes.
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 Okay. So the first we are talking about prokaryotic. Now, can you tell me what is the meaning of prokaryotic?
This is also divided into two parts, prokaryote and pro and karyotic. So
Yes, yes. Okay, what do we mean by pro? Think in terms of biology, not English. Biology. Pro, I'll tell you. Look, if we break pro, and the word root here is carry on. Okay, carry on. Carry on. From this word, the word karyotic came. Okay, so carry on means nucleus. Okay, in scientific language, carry on means nucleus. And here pro does not mean very good at everything. Like we say, na, that is a pro player. No, here pro means before. Even like the pro players, they come first, right? So pro means before. It can also mean pre, or it can also mean first. Okay. Now, this was the first type of nucleus. It is the most primitive. You can also like, the basic thing is that it is primitive. Okay, what it is? It is primitive.
primitive.
Now, primitive type of nucleus. Okay, now, in general, like our cell has a plasma membrane. Okay, for example, this is our cell. Okay, now,
Okay.
this is our cell, and this, do you see this outer lining?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
this outer lining is the plasma,
Plasma
membrane.
membrane.
Yes, plasma membrane.
Membrane.
It is the membrane. You understand membrane? Rima,
Yes.
can you tell me the meaning of membrane? Just membrane. In general, what do you think a membrane is? Say anything that comes to your mind. It doesn't always have to be right. It can be wrong also. It's fine.
Something that we can memory.
Something that, look, a membrane is basically a covering. Okay, a covering, a surrounding. Okay, so what is the covering for? The plasma. Okay, plasma is present here. These dotted structure is plasma. So the membrane or the covering that plasma is surrounded with is known as plasma membrane. Okay, then here is a structure which is known as the nucleus of the cell. Okay, nucleus. Now this structure is the most important structure of the cell. Okay, without this, nothing can happen in a cell. So even in the most primitive organism also, and even in the highest or advanced organism also, nucleus is present. Okay, now when we were talking about prokaryotes. Okay, so prokaryotes, these are the organism. Write it down, give the heading prokaryotes. Okay, now see, prokaryotes are the organisms in which the nucleus here, the nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. Now, what is the nuclear membrane? It is the covering of the nucleus, है ना? Right? I said membrane. So membrane is the covering of the nucleus. So it is known as the nuclear membrane. Okay. Nuclear membrane, or we can say in normal terms also that this nucleus is membrane bound. Right?
Yeah.
It is surrounded with membrane, so it is membrane bound. So organisms that contain Rima, write it down. Organisms that contain a membrane bound nucleus. Membrane bound nucleus are known as prokaryotic organisms or prokaryotes. Prokaryotic organisms or prokaryotes. Is this clear to you?
Yeah.
Rima, are you able to understand this now?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now, all those organisms that have membrane on the nucleus are known as prokaryotes. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about eukaryotes, okay, eukaryotes. So, wait. I told about prokaryotes now. So, prokaryotes that do not contain, okay, they do not contain. Prokaryotes, since they are the most primitive organisms, they do not contain a membrane. Okay, they do not contain. But eukaryotes are the organisms that contain this membrane-bound nucleus. That contain a membrane-bound nucleus. Okay. It means that the nucleus in the eukaryotic organisms are surrounded by a membrane. But when we talk about the prokaryotes, so is the membrane present or not?
No,
No.
not in the prokaryotes.
Yes. In
Yes.
eukaryotes, it is not present. And then in eukaryotes, it is present. The membrane is present. And when we talk about the prokaryotes, the membrane is absent. Clear?
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Now, we were talking about the components of the cell, right? So, components of the cell, first we saw plasma membrane. Okay, we saw plasma membrane, and then we saw nucleus. Okay,
Yeah.
then we saw nucleus, and then I said that nucleus may have a nuclear membrane or it may not. So, the organisms that have the nuclear membrane are known as
Eukaryotes.
eukaryotes, and that don't have the membrane are known as prokaryotes.
Eukaryotes.
Yes. Now, the third one was cytoplasm. Okay. Cytoplasm, it is basically a fluid-like structure that
Yeah.
the cell is filled up with. Right?
Yeah.
For example,
And
if
it holds the organelles.
very good. Yes, it holds the organelles. So if this was the cell and this is the nucleus, so everything that is here, anything and everything that is present here are, this is the cytoplasm. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Now in cytoplasm, we have what? We have organelles.
Organelles.
Yes, organelles are present here in cytoplasm. Up till now, is everything clear to you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now, there are many type of organelles. Okay, there are many type of organelles. Now, the organelles, some organelles are membrane bound, like how nucleus was membrane bound. Organelles may be membrane bound or they may not be membrane. Okay. So, organelles are also two types, in which one membrane is present and the other one membrane is absent.
Ma'am, what are the examples of such organelles?
Yes, I'll tell you. Have you heard about mitochondria?
Yes, ma'am. The powerhouse of cell.
Yes, very good. So the powerhouse of the cell or the mitochondria, it has membrane present. Okay. The membrane is present. So here the example is mitochondria. But when we talk about, have you heard about nucleolus?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No,
that is a
I didn't.
non-membrane. Have you heard about centriole?
Yes.
Yes. So centriole,
Ma'am, but I didn't hear any of them.
you haven't heard?
No.
Okay, you will hear it now in our later classes, because these are the organelles. So they will be discussed further. But you have heard about mitochondria?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. It's all right.
No.
So see, this is the cell. Okay. And this is the plasma membrane, it is the cytoplasm, and this is the nucleus. Now, in this cytoplasm, a lot of organelles. Now, what is organelle? Like, do you know the term organ?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Now, if you see a smaller unit of organ is an organelle. Okay.
Yeah.
It is basically an organ within an organ. So, a
Okay.
smaller unit. So organelles comes from organ. So those smaller units are present in the cell. Okay.
Okay.
Some are rod shaped, some are spherical shaped, some are like a reticulum, connection like that. So all of these things are present in the cytoplasm. Okay. So in this,
Yeah.
this rod-like structure that is present in the cytoplasm is known as mitochondria. Okay. Now mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell. Okay. It is known as the powerhouse of the cell. These all things I will explain in depth in the next class only. Okay. Right now I'm giving a very brief intro to this. Okay. Very brief. This is now not everything that you need to know. Anything that you will
Okay.
need to know, I will discuss in the next class. Because in the next class, I will discuss mitochondria separately, centriole separately, plasma membrane separately. But here I'm giving a collective view, because now we are, running short on time. So I would have to wrap it up. But in the next class, I would tell you each and everything in details. Okay. So Rima, you
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
understand that mitochondria is an organelle that is present here, okay, in the cell.
Okay.
Same way, centriole is also an organelle that is present in the cell. Now, what is the difference between them? The difference is that if this is the structure of mitochondria, then it has a membrane on it. Okay, it has a membrane on it, okay, a covering on it. But centrioles, they do not have membrane, no membrane. So that is the only difference. Okay.
Okay.
Did you understand it now?
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Okay. Any difficulty?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. Very good. You girls are very good, huh? You're grasping
Thank you, ma'am.
everything so nicely. I'm very happy. Okay. Now, you write down some questions that you can do for homework. Okay. Now, the
Okay,
first
ma'am.
question is, who discovered the first living cell? First living cell. Okay. You can, if you write the year also, you will get bonus points. Okay. Now, the next question is, what are the three basic components of cell? Components of cell. Okay. And third and the last question is, give a brief account. Give a brief account of different types of cells present in human body. Okay, for this question, you can, check your NCERT book also. There is a diagram given and you can write all those names here. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, do you have any difficulty in these 3 questions?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, both of you, no difficulties?
No, ma'am. I
You
don't
can
have
solve
any
these 3
difficulty.
questions?
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, in general, in today's lecture, did you have any difficulties or do you have any doubts up till now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No doubts, everything is clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
everything is clear.
Very good, very good. Smart girls, huh? Smart girls. Okay. Now, quickly tell me who discovered the cell first time? What was the name?
Robert Hooke in 1665.
Very good. Now, Reema, tell me who gave the cell theory? Name one scientist. One. Cell theory.
What, ma'am?
Yes. One name. Who gave the cell theory? Only one of the scientists you can say. Only one. Okay, try to recall. It's all right. Try to recall. His name starts
Lect.
from an S. Do you remember Skliden? I said Skliden.
Yeah.
Yes. So Skliden was one person. Okay. Okay.
Swan
Now,
and Verka.
yes, Rudolf Virchow. Very good. All right. Can you tell me? Okay. These 3 questions I'll not ask from these 3 questions.
Ma'am,
Okay.
there's less charge on my phone.
Okay, the class will end soon now. I'll ask 2 to 3 questions and then the class is over. The time is up. Okay. Okay. Now tell me quickly the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes.
Ma'am, prokaryotes are the cells which were formed early and they have the basic 3 components of a cell. Eukaryotes have extra organelles and membrane bound as well.
No, no.
Sorry,
See.
new.
See, look, it's all right. See, for prokaryotes and for eukaryotes, the only thing that you have to say here is that prokaryotes, now see, they are organisms. Okay, organisms are divided into 2 types. One is prokaryote, one is eukaryote. Now, prokaryote organisms are those organisms that contain a membrane bound nucleus. That do not contain, that do not contain a membrane bound nucleus. And eukaryotes are those organisms that contain a membrane bound nucleus. Okay, these are the 2 very important, and that is how we distinguish them. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Reema, can you tell me the difference between unicellular and multicellular organism?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, tell me. Say. Yes, say. Unicellular and multicellular.
Okay. Unicellular organisms are made up of only one cell that carries out all the organism, which
Yes, unicellular organisms are made up of one cell, single cell.
Yeah.
And what about multicellular organisms?
use many different cells to function.
Yeah, they are made up of more than one cells, right? Multiple cells.
Yeah.
Always try to break the words to understand. Okay. Okay. Now tell me, okay, I'll say 3 statements. You'll have to tell me whether or not I'm saying it right or wrong. Okay. The first statement is the cells that are present are not made up of pre-existing cells.
It's false.
It's false. Okay. I would like to put another statement here. Plants may or may not be made up of cells, but animals are made up of cells.
False.
False. How?
True.
Because animals and plants are both made of cells.
Yes. No exception. Okay. There is no exception. All right. Okay, there is one more thing, the last thing that I would like to tell you, that I told you about cell theory, right? Now,
Yes.
since we said that all plants and all organisms in the world are made up of cells, and this cell theory is applicable to everybody, right? But again, there is an exception here. Do you know about viruses?
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
non-living, but when they enter a body and use the like energy from a cell,
Yes,
only then they are living. They have all the
yes.
components except for the reproduction, and that's why they're not classified as a living organism.
Very good. Yes. Okay. So you know so much about virus. Very good. So viruses are the only and only organism that are exception to cell theory. Okay. So in them, cell theory, no way. Why? Because they are dead outside. Okay. As a single unit, they are dead. But as soon as they enter a body, they are living. So cell theory is not applicable to them. So you write it down. In the portion where you have written cell theory, at the end you write down viruses. Write it down, Rima.
Okay.
Viruses are an exception to cell theory. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Viruses
Yes, ma'am.
do not follow the cell theory, and the cell theory is applicable on every organism.
Yeah.
Plants, animals, bacteria, every single organism except
Viruses.
viruses. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. Any doubts? Anything that you
No.
would like to ask me? Any question that you
No.
would like to ask?
No.
No? Okay. Now you can like solve these 3 questions in your notebook. Okay. And in the next
Okay.
class, we'll
Ma'am,
begin
can
from
I know
here.
the full form of ATP?
Okay. ATP, you want to know the full form of ATP? Okay.
Yeah.
ATP is adenosine